So we were asked to make the coolest challenge ever, which is to make a robot drift. Ready, steady, go!
Hi, my name is Jeff Major. I've been teaching STEM for nearly 20 years, and I got my start actually teaching English in Japan. I thought if I could teach English, then I could teach anything. And I fell in love after that first year, and ever since has been teaching physics, engineering, robotics, all that STEM kind of stuff, mathematics, and I've never looked back.
What are some of the real-life skills that kids can take from STEM and apply to their lives outside of the classroom?
My students are always creating work for a purpose. So when we learn about culinary arts, they cook. For example, we're doing so right now on the Thanksgiving break, and so they're going to make all the food for a Thanksgiving meal. If we do robotics, they're doing so in preparation for a competition where they'll compete against students from all over the world. Same thing for math, believe it or not. We actually have them doing problems that are real in math context. The foundation of the math and the science is really important. So we lead with a purpose, and as much as possible, we build up those foundational skills so that they're doing real work.
What are some of the obstacles that STEM teachers from underserved communities face?
Certainly the resource of money is huge always, but having access to really good curriculum, tested curriculum, is also very, very challenging. There's a lot of people who talk about STEM and do STEM, and it's a cursory nod. It's like, oh, we did a little activity and it's great, but there's no connection. And it's also a difficult thing because school leaders have to make a really conscious decision to make sure that things are chained together, and there's a vertical alignment as well as a horizontal alignment. And what I mean by that is that there's a path from grade to grade to grade. That's the vertical alignment. And then within the grade levels, if you have multiple classes, there's horizontal alignment so that all the classrooms have some similar consistency. It doesn't mean that everybody has to do the same thing. That's really important. They don't, but there should be some consistency. So if we say, for example, we really want the students to have a conceptual understanding for Newton's laws in physics at the third grade level, every classroom in that grade will have access to it. Having that curriculum is super important.
What is the California Math and Science Challenge?
The intention of the California Math Science Challenge is to provide professional development, curriculum, and ongoing professional development for underserved communities, because the students in these schools, in these areas, coming from these backgrounds, need STEM the most. We're trying to break cycles of inequity here, essentially, because we see the gap just widening, not only in the traditional subjects, but the digital gap is also a huge factor in today's day and age. So by providing the solid curriculum at the very young levels, in particular the kindergarten through 6th grade, we shore up and we increase interest and stamina really to succeed in these areas. Providing really solid curriculum through what we call challenge trees, which is a prescribed course, so the students see success, they understand what's being asked of them, and they can see a really clear path to the top of this challenge tree and are super excited to come and learn. We're also making a resource library, so that's something that the teachers have always asked for because maybe they don't have a background in physics or computer science or electrical engineering. Well, we're providing short format videos, 2 to 3 minute videos that students and teachers can look at, and it helps them to explain more of these science and engineering concepts for the challenge trees. Okay, let's take another look at this lobster here.
Wait a minute.
Your Instagram puts your interest in biology and cooking on display. Why is it important to introduce kids to these areas?
The reason I talk about biology and cooking and culinary arts so much is that, again, I want the students to understand the whole process. So we actually start at the very beginning with composting because we talk about what they have in their lunches and what they're throwing out. So every day, kids all over this planet are throwing away tons and tons of food scraps when in fact it can be composted. So we talk to them about that, and then we build a composting bin or multiple composting areas. And then we talk about, okay, it would be cool to learn how to cook, and yeah, that's great. And so we got to learn about the plants. Like, well, we can't do this stuff if we can't learn about the seeds and where the plants start from. So we do the whole process, and we eventually get to the point where they're cooking. But along the way, they grow cool stuff like this kohlrabi. And so the students are like, what the heck's that? I'm like, I don't know, let's try it out. And so every year when we do this culinary arts stuff, I get parents that complain. They're like, what did you do to my kid? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, they eat vegetables now. That's a pretty cool problem to have.
How has your interest in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu influenced your teaching?
Sometimes people look at my social media accounts and they go, what the heck, I thought this was a STEM account, and they see Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or rock climbing posts, and they're like, what the heck's going on? To me, the sports and the academics, they're one and the same, because at its core, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and rock climbing are about problem solving and about being comfortable in uncomfortable situations. So, in Jiu-Jitsu, you're getting choked out, or you're getting your arm locked out. In rock climbing, maybe have a fear of heights, or you're trying to do a problem, and you have to decide, like, can I mentally do this? Can I physically do this? So again, I think it relates to a lot of the STEM challenges, because it's the same thing. Students are really uncomfortable with the idea that sometimes they have to apply their math, and they go, oh, I don't know how to do this. But they're committed and they're interested, so we teach them, like, no, we can figure this out. And so if we have to take a break and do some math problems or take a look at some techniques, we do that, but we don't shortchange it. It's really important that students have the opportunity to be comfortable in the uncomfortable situation, which is absolutely resonates with what Jiu-Jitsu is all about.
What can we, as older brothers, sisters, parents, aunts, and uncles, do to introduce kids to the field of STEM?
For parents and siblings, aunts, uncles, the most important thing to think about when trying to get your kids interested in STEM or keep them interested in STEM is to make sure that you ask the right questions. And what I mean by that is allowing the students to want to ask questions, but then that's not enough. You simply just give them an answer. You want them to think. So here's a classic example. Students all the time will ask, why is the sky blue? Now you could just give them a one-word answer. Raleigh scattering, which is a really heavy-duty physics concept. But I think it's more important to ask them, like, well, what do we know about light? How do we see? And so when we get the students to start thinking about those things, it becomes easy to teach them what we really want, which is to say, love learning and always ask questions. So even if you know the answer, pretend you don't. And if you truly don't know, maybe you guys can work together. So again, it's not so much the questions, it's just what we allow for an answer, and the questions that we in return ask. We want students to really think deeply about what it is they're learning. And that way, they become better scientists, engineers, and STEM people.
Describe the most challenging and rewarding parts of what you do.
So the biggest challenge facing us at California Math Science Challenge is related to the funding. We've got plenty of schools in our local area here in San Diego, plenty up in Los Angeles County and Orange County, and right across the border here in Mexico. These communities, they want and they need the STEM resources, but they lack the funding to do so, to acquire the robotics. We've created the curriculum and we have the video resources to provide them, but what's challenging is that sometimes these schools can't even pay for the professional development time that I need to invest to go down and train the teachers. It's really important that we train them one-on-one and help guide them, help to set up tournaments, challenge events in their schools or in their clusters of schools. So, but that's something we're working on, and so we're confident that it's going to happen. So basically, we're going to connect the folks, the social justice warriors, the philanthropic folks who really believe in helping underserved communities, and then again partnering with organizations such as ourselves at the California Math Science Challenge, where we can go and provide the services and the curriculum for free. That's also related to the biggest reward. We see, and I've seen personally what has happened once these children, they graduate or they go on to college or they go on to jobs, because I've been doing this for nearly 20 years, and it's so exciting to see students with electrical engineering degrees, computer science degrees, working at really big tech companies because they had a foundation. We absolutely believe that it's really important to make that foundation solid at the K6 level. K8, is fine too. That's where we come in. That's our specialty at California Math Science Challenge.
Lastly, where can people go to learn more about and get involved with the California Math and Science Challenge?
If you'd like to support our work, our website is www.mathsciencechallenge.org, and there you can find access to our GoFundMe page. Very soon we're going to have a Patreon site because we're building the resource library, and we're going to continue to try and make that as free as possible to these underserved communities. So your support in that regard would be fantastic. We've got lots of opportunities for interactions if you live anywhere near the San Diego area or Los Angeles area, or right across the border in Mexico. Our social media is CalMathSci, that's CalMathSci. Thanks so much, guys.